This broadcast is the property of Codependents Anonymous. Reproduction without written permission from Codependents Anonymous is not permitted.
Okay, welcome to everyone who is on this Zoom Fellowship Forum call. Today is November 28th, 2020. My name is Gail, and I will be the moderator or facilitator for this session. So, without further ado, today's topic is gratitude. And what I did today was I always love going to our CoDA book. I have the electronic version so that when I travel, I always have my trusted books, whether it's this program or another program that I am in. And I always look up the word. You know, in this case here, it was gratitude, or for me, it's also being grateful. And gratitude is in our book 18 times. Grateful or anything starting with great, as in grateful, or that is 45 times. So you add those two together, there's a lot of opportunity in our books to look up and reflect on gratitude. And so I'll kind of get us started, you know, in the book. It's, you know, some of the quotes that we've got here is through the grace of God and in grateful offering our service to others, we gain peace in a spirit once filled with remorse and pain. I'm just going to read a few of these and then we'll get this discussion going. It says here, I am grateful to have this opportunity to share my experience, strength, and hope. And that's, you know, that our meetings, whether it's our home group or any other meeting that we are in, is being able to share our experience, strength, and hope with others who might really be looking for that because of what their life was like when they came into the rooms with us. Grateful for sponsoring and grateful for sponsorship. Here's a couple others here. I will always be grateful. We share a common spiritual philosophy, which is of the utmost importance to us. Let's see, some of the other ones that really spoke to me. I'm especially grateful for the program of Codependents Anonymous. I know when I walked into the rooms 13 and a half years ago, May, my life was so upside down and so out of control that I was so grateful that the rooms were open and that there were people there to share their experience, strength, and hope. Let's see. I am grateful to be that which God intended, precious and free. So there's just some wonderful ways of just acknowledging our gratefulness through this program. So with that, I'd like to open it up for anyone who is willing to or would like to share about their gratitude that they are experiencing now in their life. So I'm going to give it a couple seconds. And if you don't quite know how to raise your hand, it may look a little different on your version than mine. I believe if you go to participants and you look at the list and you hover over your name, you're able to do a raise your hand from there. I'm operating from iProducts, so I don't know if your product is the same. Or if your camera is on, just wave at me. I can see you there. All right, Jonathan, you are the brave soul who is ready to share. Jonathan, what do you have to share with us? And I'm going to go ahead and set up a timer for 3 minutes. My timer sounds like a duck. And so if you hear the quack, 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 you'll know it's time to start wrapping up, okay?
Okay, well, I'm Jonathan from California. Very glad to be here. This is my first CoDA meeting. I've been in other 12-step meetings that are related to this type of issue. I'm definitely a codependent. I know that. And so I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that there is a meeting like this, that people like me and problems that I have are not unfamiliar, and there is a way out and a way through, and there's support, and there's fellowship. And in a way, I'm grateful that it is forcing me to develop areas of my character that I never would have developed otherwise. So I'm kind of mixed. On the one hand, it's hard to do, and I don't want to do it. But even to a greater degree, it gives me membership into a community that I never otherwise would be a member of, and allows me to express care and support and fellowship with people that I would only meet because of my codependency and my difficulties. So I'm grateful for the experience. It's humbling too, because I didn't want to admit any of this, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm also looking forward to finding other meetings that I can attend, because this is my first CoDA meeting, and I believe that this is part of my group experience that I need to be participating in. So that's about it for now. Thanks for letting me share. Nice to be here. Appreciate the beach background. It's beautiful. Okay, that's
Jonathan.
it.
Welcome to CoDA, and there are an amazing number of meetings that are available to everyone now that we're in so much of still the shutdown or the stay-at-home type of situation. If you go to CoDA.org, at the top there's a tab for meetings, and you can search meetings, physical meetings as well as virtual meetings, such as this one here. There are an amazing number of meetings that you can attend that way. All right, who else would like to share? And for those of you, it's only going to be the audio that is recorded and shared on our website. So we would love if you would be willing to be on camera so we can connect and see each other whenever you are able to do so or willing to do so. Not that as a recovering codependent, I want to tell you what to do. Linda, I see that you have unmuted. Do you wish to share?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay, I don't see any hands. I don't see any waving of hands. There we go. Let's see if I'm saying this right. Arnadine from Alberta, Canada.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm new to CoDA. I went to 3 meetings just before the pandemic.
You just muted yourself again. I don't know how.
Okay.
There you go.
I went in thinking, well, I was a little scared to find out if I was or codependent and what my issues were and all that stuff to, maybe the relationship wasn't good and I should get out of it and just heal and stuff. And surprisingly, when I went, I wasn't codependent in my relationships with anything except my mom. So that was quite a shock. So at that time, I actually needed some space from her. We spent nearly every minute together. She was an alcoholic and very suicidal since I was a kid. She was 67 at the time. And it kind of worked out. It was a little late in the timing, but it helped me recognize, and I like to keep going in case I would like to keep going. It took me a very long time to find this online since the pandemic last year. But I'm really grateful to be here, and I hope that I can always get to one CoDA at least every week. Very surprised when I came in, it was about my mom. So I'm very interested in more.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Linda, you're unmuted again. I know.
Yeah, this time I'd like to share. Thank you. when I went to look for the blue hand, I couldn't find it. I'm grateful to hear that this meeting ranges from people who've been around for a while to people who are experiencing the first CoDA gathering. How wonderful. I have occasion to say repeatedly in meetings that it's exactly because of the newcomer that CoDA exists. Our meetings exist, our program exists to carry the message to the codependent who's still suffering. Now, I'm one of those codependents who's still suffering, even though I've been here for more than a few weeks. So codependent who's still suffering is not, like I used to think, the absolute newcomer, but still, what a pleasure to be able to tell newcomers, you are the lifeblood of our program. Thank you so much for being here, because as we listen to your stories, we're reminded of how it was for us. And we're also reminded of the gracious way that we were received in CoDA when we first got here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda. That is a great reminder. I'll go ahead and share real quickly. When I walked into the rooms, my life was so upside down. I was in an on-again, off-again, extremely dysfunctional relationship for 6 years. And it was that relationship, amongst other things that were not going right in my life, that brought me to the rooms. And I remember the very first meeting that I was going to attend, one of my friends invited me, and she was going to meet me there. So that made it feel safer for me to go into the room. And then like 5 minutes before the meeting, as I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting for her, she contacts me and says, "I'm so sorry, I can't make it. You go in." And I was like petrified. I was like, "You got to be kidding me. You're not coming?" Because I had been sitting there for at least 5 extra minutes watching everyone going into the meeting room. And in so much, I'm ashamed to even have to admit how much judgment I had of individuals who are walking into the room. Oh, I can see that they need it. Oh, I can see that they need it. Oh my gosh, yes, they really need to be here. Here I am just judging the outsides of anyone because I'm in that judgmental space. And she made me promise to walk into the room, and I did. I was petrified. My heart was racing. And she reminded me that my life was out of control. And so I walked into the room. I was graciously welcomed and took my seat, and I didn't know what to anticipate. I'd never been to anything like that. And then the meeting started and people started sharing, and I was trying to hold back the tears. I was getting so emotional listening to where individuals had been or where they were at that moment, because they were newer or they were in the rooms for some time, but their life was still having some hiccups here and there. And then hearing the experience, strength, and hope of some of those who I thought, again, my judgments, they had their life together, life must be perfect. And they had handed me the promises to read. And I didn't know anything about it, didn't even look at it. I just, I'm a good codependent. Yeah, you tell me what to do. Okay, I'll do it. And so they said, we'll let you know when it's time to read it. So I just put it down. And by the end of the meeting, I had heard so much in the room that I knew that I needed to be there. I didn't want to need to be there, but I really needed to be in that room. And so when the time came where I was asked to read the promises, I might have made it through the first 3. That's my memory. I started crying, and I couldn't read it through the crying that I was reading, because how could these promises ever come true? How? This is impossible in my mind, because my life was so upside down and so out of control. And, if people would just do what I said to do and the way I said to do it, life would be wonderful. But, I had to learn in the rooms that it wasn't my job to control everyone else. It was only my job to take care of Gail. And that was the biggest eye-opener for me to hear, to come to that realization. Oh, and I was really funny too, because when I picked my first sponsor, I sat down with her and I said, okay, so how long is it going to take? You know, let's get through the steps and the tradition. Let's get through this workbook, and how long should it take? And I really want to just get fixed and graduate from this. And she just kind of looked at me with this smirk and like, yeah, it'll take as long as it takes. And how old are you now? And at the time I was 50. She says, okay, so it took you 50 years to get in the rooms. It might take you a few years to get through all of the stuff that you've been through and start really working in from a place of recovery versus from your past. And I was determined that she was wrong. And here I am 13 and a half years later, still working on my stuff. And I keep coming back because I need this program. So I'm going to pass on my share. Who else would like to share about gratitude? What brought you into this room? Raise your hand, unmute yourself, wave at me.
Well, not to beat the drum too much, you know, I'd like to say two things. Listening to your share there, Gail, I remember how I was laughing out loud. Australians had a conference and they sent all the recordings to CoDA World, and they could still be obtained at our codependence.org website. And one of them was your first meeting. And everyone was saying, well, this is what happened when I went to my first meeting. And the one that made me laugh was the guy who said, listen, I finally admitted that I needed it. And I drove up to the meeting and I sat in the parking lot and I waited the entire length of the meeting, and then I drove home. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard. And then, you know, he went on to say that eventually he did come into the meeting, but I thought, bless him for having said how difficult it was for him. It's only prototypical of how difficult it is for all of us to want to come to a program where we say, I am suffering from the illness of codependence. And I had it. Oh, yes. Okay. So in the chat, I put the directions for you to obtain a freely downloadable pamphlet that was created by the Outreach Committee. The Outreach Committee wanted professionals like lawyers and health workers to know about how CoDA could help and augment their work. So they created a pamphlet called For Professionals, but they gave the professionals another tool called Your First Meeting to calm the fears of anybody. They'd say, you know, honey, it sounds like you need CoDA. Why don't you try it? Because I know my first reaction, the first 5 million times that my therapist said to me, you need to go to CoDA, was sure, 5 million times. And then I had to go in one day and say to her, I hope you're not angry with me, because somebody else mentioned CoDA and I decided I'd give it a try, and I have, and it's really wonderful. And thank you very much. And I'm sorry I didn't listen the first 5 million times I heard the suggestion. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Hi, this is Em.
Hi, Em.
Thank you for your service, and thank you, and hello to everybody on the line. This is my first fellowship forum, so I learned about this at a meeting. It was announced at a meeting earlier today, so I will plan on attending in the future. So first, I'm grateful for this topic of gratitude, and also for the fellowship forum, because I really enjoyed the opportunity to hear people that are beyond the CoDA calls that I usually call into. And because there's a core group of people that seem to attend the same phone meetings, and it's just wonderful to hear additional fellowship from around not only our country, the United States, my country, but other locations. So for me, one of the things I'm grateful for, as you were reading about the searching for gratitude or grateful out of the CoDA book, is the CoDA program itself. I think to myself, I've been in therapy 4 different times in my life for different reasons. And I attended CoDA, my first CoDA meeting many years ago, and then was out of the rooms until just under 3 years ago when I returned. And it's just a wonderful support network. And this infrastructure that's available for those that cannot afford therapy or don't want to go to therapy, aren't ready for therapy. Maybe therapy is not right for them. And what's right is to hear the wisdom, strength, and hope of others that are recovering from the same, from codependency. So that's one thing I'm grateful for today. I am grateful for the CoDA phone meetings that I participate in. There's such wonderful growth and recovery, and it's given me some additional structure during this period of pandemic where I myself and my husband have chosen to stay sheltered in place throughout the entire time. And in addition to work, it's just wonderful to know that I can call in at certain times during scheduled meetings and share and hear support and have different topics, because different meetings have different topics. What else am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my higher power. And when I turn to my higher power, I get strength and hope and recovery around the different challenges that are coming up in my life. It's easy when there aren't challenging moments. It's harder when there are challenging moments for me to turn to my higher power. When there's small challenging moments, the bigger picture kind of decision points, it's been easier for me in my past to turn to my higher power. So I guess I'll just pass there, and thank you very much for letting me share. This is M, and I pass. From the East Coast, and I pass. Thank you.
Thank you, M from the East Coast. All right. I did post in the chat a link to be able to locate all of the previous Fellowship Forum topic recordings. Each one has a different topic or speaker or whatever, and so it's a great place to go to when you need a meeting and you can't get to a meeting for whatever reason. There's a meeting right there. All right, who else would like to share about gratitude? Or even what it was like for you to come into the rooms for the first time, because that seems to be a good subtopic that's happening here. Lena, your hand is up.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm codependent. I'm thinking about when I found the meetings. It was 31 years ago. I would go in. I didn't do the waiting outside thing, but I would cry through the whole meeting, and people would ask me, "Are you okay?" And I'd say, "I'm fine." My marriage was falling apart. What I've figured out recently is there wasn't a book, there wasn't any literature. What there were pages or half pages that had been printed in a newsletter. There was a central office that was in like 50 miles away, and anything that ended up in the newsletter was fair game to print and hand out at meetings. So that was the literature. It was a long time ago. Long story short, I moved out of state to get away from ex-husband and family and everything, geographic, and found meetings where I am. It's Oregon, eventually, in a book, in a workbook, and a daily reader. And then with COVID, I'm just so grateful. There's been so many gifts. I had to get to where I was doing really poorly because I was so isolated. And then the workshops that are on Saturdays, the AZ CoDA ones, they had said just this one time, if you were looking for a sponsor, you could say something at the end. Well, nobody said anything, so I did. And one person emailed me. So I'm in Oregon, she's in Canada, she's almost on East Coast time, and it was like my higher power picked out this person where it's a wonderful fit. It's just run with it. It's great. And I mentioned some things about my inner children. Yeah, they're not bound and gagged. Well, she is not bound and gagged and in the closet anymore. And doors started opening. So there was another place of growing. And then once I felt a little more comfortable with inner child, I felt like I was ready to have a sponsee. So I attended a sponsorship workshop and then a sponsorship meet and greet. My goal was just to show up. Otherwise, it would have been me beating myself up in my head. And one email. Anyway, I now have a sponsee, and it's another wonderful fit. I found a step study, so that's been part of my recovery since I'm here, home so much. A whole ton of meetings, a whole ton of speaker things, and they record them. So anytime I'm down, I can just grab one. I heard the duck. There's just so much that's available, and I don't know that I would have ever found so much had I not been stuck home. I'm more connected to the world stuck at home and looking through my computer on Zoom than I ever was before that. Those are all gifts of the program and of being stuck home because of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And that was a good reminder for me. I posted in the chat box. If you are looking for a sponsor or willing to sponsor, please post in the chat. It's a great way of locating a sponsor or starting your sponsorship out. All right, who else would like to share?
I thought I saw Erica raise her hand.
Erica, did you raise your hand? Oh, there you go. Unmute, Erica.
I did raise my hand. Thank you. I'm thinking I'm really grateful for technology during this time. I'm not great with it, but I'm able to do what I need to do, certainly and I was thinking if this would have happened like even 15 years ago, it would have been just phone meetings and they're okay, but it's nice to see faces and to hear people interact, and be able to sit in the comfort of my home and I live in a place where it can snow, so we don't have to drive in the snow to a meeting. I certainly have, but I'm just grateful for that. And I actually have also, I feel almost more connected now because I'm reaching out to that CoDA.org website and finding all sorts of great meetings. And I wouldn't have done that. I would have just been going to my local meetings, probably not looking up online. My home group is doing like a chat. We started like a chat every week where we just meet and we use the same Zoom code that we do for the meeting. And it's been nice just to be able to do that. So I think, and I'm grateful to just for the basics. I think I listened to a radio station and said, time to look at what you do have versus what you don't have. And I thought, yep, that's what I need to start doing for me. Certainly I miss a lot of things. And what it's taught me is I miss some of the really simple things that I didn't think I would miss. Meeting a friend from CoDA at Starbucks. Little things like that I will never, ever take for granted again. And I know that it's easy to forget for me. I mean, lots of things have happened to me and I said, I'll never forget that. And then a few years later I do, but I think this I won't. This I think I will remember. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Gail, thank you for doing this forum.
You're very welcome. And Erica did post in the chat that she is looking for a sponsor, as well as Jonathan posted in there. So if you're willing to sponsor, reach out to them privately and make a connection. After the forum is over with, I'm going to leave the line open for non-recorded time. So there'll be some fellowship afterwards. All right, who else would like to share? Erica, I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, there we go. You're unmuted now, or back to muted. Okay. Who else?
What if I propose that we just go from person to person and say how it is that we got here today? You know, what prompted us to dial up this particular forum? Maybe that would get us started.
All right.
I don't know.
That's a great idea. So, Linda, I'm going to go down the line. I know that Emma already spoke. There's 304 area code. Don't know your first name, but how did you come upon us today? Is this the first time with us? I'm going to ask you to unmute, see if you can do so. Okay.
Yes.
I see JM from Virginia.
Yes. I'll share. I've been in CoDA since July 1985. I had a stroke in 2012. They said I had aphasia on my left brain, that I would not have a normal life. I'm here to tell you, hello, you're talking to me. That's my higher power. That's my CoDA meetings. That's my 12-step meetings. I love the 12-step because it taught me that I can accept myself unconditionally and accept others as well. And forgiveness. Every day is a brand new day. The past is the past. You learn from it and move on. And we don't worry about the future because the future hasn't got here yet. And it helps me stay in the present. And I love CoDA. I go to it every, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Monday. That's what we have. And I want it 7 days a week. This is my life. I mean, I love CoDA. And newcomers, if you're out there, don't leave before the miracle. Because it taught me how not to react, to respond. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Virginia. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Who would have known some 30 plus years ago that alcoholics who were in AA were not finding what they needed, which was recovery from codependency? Who would have ever thought? And for that, I am extremely grateful to Ken and Mary for creating CoDA from the AA format, like so many 12-step programs are. And I can't imagine where my life or the world would be if AA never began. And that was a gift from God as I saw it, the way it was created and developed. And from that, so many 12-step programs have come on board. And I'm just grateful for the 12 steps, 12 promises, 12 traditions, 12 service concepts, 12 everything, because I really work every aspect of my recovery in every area of my life, personally, professionally, in service. That's my brain got rewired thinking the 12 step and 12 fill in the blank way. So grateful for that. And, I never thought, I don't remember who said it, but, about when we won't forget, I won't forget 2020. This is a year I don't think anyone's going to forget because of the impact it has had on so many people. But I think for me, I'm always looking for the glass half full. What am I grateful for this? And there are so many things. I mean, I never did meetings online. And now each and every single day, I'm in at least one, if not two meetings a day of working my recovery. And for me, one of the character defects that I got to identify and work on from coming into Codependence Anonymous was my isolation. If I'm alone, no one can hurt me. Well, if I'm alone too, I can't connect with anyone. And so when this all happened, I had the virus, unfortunately, very, very, very early, and it was pretty bad. And what the whole thing allowed me to do is to go back into isolation, and it felt a little too comfortable to be isolated, living alone with my dogs, and realizing all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I am going back to my old behaviors. I need to connect. And for me, I'm extremely grateful for being able to go online and catch a meeting at just about, you name it, any hour of the day or night. If I need a meeting, it is available to me one way or the other. And when it's not, there are so many great recordings that I can listen to, which is like having a meeting all in itself. So I will never forget 2020. All right, who else? Let's see, I've got 3 people from Canada that I can identify. So how about Canada? Someone want to share from Canada?
Hi, I'll go. It's Melanie. I'm up here in northern BC. It's pretty snowy, so I'm very grateful to have the ability to do a Zoom meeting. I am new to CoDA. I've only done a handful of meetings and the workshop last Saturday, which I was also very grateful for, or not the workshop, the conference. I came to CoDA when my life had hit rock bottom, and I'd actually started with another 12-step program, the Al-Anon, and just realized there were components that weren't being addressed, and I found that in CoDA. So I'm really grateful for the warm welcome that I had, and it's all been a little overwhelming, but so far I felt really supported and welcomed here. So I appreciate everybody's shares, and every time I sign on, I find something valuable that I walk away with. So I'm grateful for that. Thanks. I'll pass.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Marilyn, can I pick on you? Or let's see who else I have. Oh, I have Erica from Denver. Did you share yet? Yes, you did. That's right.
I did share already. I may share again, but I'm going to give some other people some chances.
Awesome. Thank you. How about, let's see, Diana. Can we get you to share gratitude? Or anyone can raise their hand at any point, or wave at me, or unmute yourself, or fill in the blank.
Hi, I'm Barbara. I'm from Ottawa, Canada.
Hi, Barbara.
And hi. I just feel so shy right now, but I'm really, really grateful that I came upon the link, the Zoom link in my email today. Was very last minute, so within a few minutes I was able to connect, and I'm just so grateful to hear everybody's experiences. It's been probably, I think, about 3 years since I've been to a CoDA meeting. I've had some physical difficulties in the last couple years, so I've been in a lot of therapy, like occupational therapy and things. So I feel quite isolated, and I guess I've done a lot of that to myself as well. But it's just nice to see people and to know that if I would like the connection, it's available to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. All right, who else is ready to share? We've got time for, maybe 2 or 3 more shares, and then we're going to wrap up and go into fellowship. I see, Jonathan, your hand's back up.
Yeah, I just wanted to address what brought me here. I've been in other 12-step fellowships and I've gotten a lot of help, but as was mentioned in one of the other shares, that didn't touch on some aspects of my issues that needed to be addressed. One of my concerns about codependency is very much an over sensitivity to social pressure. And I think that's a big hallmark of codependency. I care too much what other people think about me. I mean, I do care. There's a healthy level of that, but I have unhealthy levels of it. And that's one of my big reasons for being here. And I know that comes directly, well, from my upbringing, mostly my dad. That was the way he was. He was very much of a social animal and lost if he didn't have his social connections in the way he wanted them. And so I saw that and copied him, unfortunately. And I know part of it also comes from my mom, who was one of my qualifiers, who was very distant from me. So I would try to, get more attention from her than was forthcoming. So I really felt a lack, or either, a very unbalanced approach from both of them. But also realizing through my 12-step work that ultimately my well-being has to come from my higher power, not from other individuals. But I do need to develop healthy understanding and boundaries and interactions with everyone else. And that starts by being in a group that understands that and practices that. So that's pretty much why I'm here. I also had a counselor who told me I was codependent, and then started to try to push me around in ways that I didn't like. So I separated from that, which I don't know if that was codependent or stubbornness or just being off the reservation or whatever, but all the more reason to be here and get help. So that's kind of my story to this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, for being willing to share what brought you into the rooms. Who else would like to share?
Hello, Gail. This is Carol. I'll go next.
Okay, Carol, and then Amy will take you next after Carol, okay?
Good. Thank you, Gail, for hosting us. I can appreciate the challenge. We're trying to get us to speak. We're each in our own little bubbles, and it's sometimes hard. And I know for me, it takes me a while to process my thoughts. And I think, what do I want to say? And then I have to make notes. And I'm so uncertain at times. But a couple of the thoughts that I made note of the things that I'm grateful for is definitely, I've been with CoDA for about 5.5 years. I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and I am eternally grateful for the openness and honesty that comes out in these meetings, the authenticity of attendees, and the courage that it takes, especially for newcomers, for anybody who comes back, for anybody who's struggling with various situations in their lives, with other people or with themselves, because I know myself, the struggles are ongoing. And the more I learn, the more self-aware I become, the stronger I feel. But that strength isn't always there. And I've often been told, oh, you're so strong, and oh, you've been through a lot, and oh, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, I'm an iceberg like everybody. Like underneath the surface, there is so much that's trembling underneath, so much that I'm struggling with. And this whole epidemic situation has, put on another blanket of challenges. But when I can see beyond the challenges that it's brought to us in this world and myself, I can also see the good that's coming out of it, because I've been a member of a couple of the CoDA online meetings that existed before the epidemic, and I've been becoming more involved with online meetings, with various webinars. I'm just constantly learning. I've always been a seeker of new learnings, of trying to understand behaviors, emotions, and feelings, because I'm a firm believer that underneath all behaviors are emotions that are struggling to be understood, our needs trying to get met. And through CoDA, through other organizations that I've been learning from, I'm a firm believer that my emotions guide me, that they're my internal guidance system, that they're not to be suppressed, they're not to be oppressed, they're not to be ignored, they're not to be dismissed or dissed or made fun of. or shamed in any such way as was often the case in my family of origin. And I don't say that in a negative or blame way, but rather it's what we knew. It was familiar. It was sickeningly comforting to live that way. That's all we knew. But now looking back, I can see how, my siblings and my parents, we all struggled each in our own way because we didn't know better. And I'm certainly trying to learn and understand more so that I can be better in my relationship with others. But first and foremost is my relationship with myself, and allowing my feelings, my emotions to surface and to be with them and recognize, yes, when I'm feeling sad, yes, when I'm feeling I need human connection, who can I call? And identifying what's the need this emotion is trying to connect me with so that I can then get better in terms of the so-called loving oneself. When I heard that a few years ago, I thought that sounded so selfish. And then I heard a term a couple of years ago about selfishness and how important it is to take care of oneself. And I always knew that from the Russian level, like, I exercise, I eat well, I do all the right things, but I wasn't totally in touch with my emotions and my needs. And I know that the better I get doing that, I can then be honest and authentic with myself and not blame others for my feelings, but recognize when my feelings are being stirred up, when I'm being triggered. This is my work to work on, and to not lash out, not get angry, not accuse someone of doing something to me. Because like I said in the beginning, I'm an iceberg. On the surface, things might look fine and, some days better than others, but underneath there's that ongoing murky water of emotions and needs trying to get met. So I should wrap up with that because I have to ramble, and I'm sorry if I've gone on for too long. My thoughts get floating and I'm never sure what to stick with, but I just want to wrap with another thought I had earlier about dealing with addiction is from what I've learned is a two-step or two-stage process. And number one is dealing with the addiction. However, the addiction is there to avoid feelings. And the second stage of dealing with addiction, or whatever it is one does to avoid feelings and emotions, is getting at those underlying emotions. And the cause of the addiction was to avoid emotions. And this pandemic is forcing, I know me and likely many, to really look at myself and my own world, my inner world, as well as my external world, and use this time as productively as possible. And some days it's really hard to get productive, to get myself moving, to get something. But I think getting in touch with my feelings, being aware of them, acknowledging them, befriending them, and getting to my understanding what my needs are is first and foremost. It's my job, it's my responsibility, and the better I get at, the better my relationship with myself is, and in turn with others. So with that, I'll wrap. Sorry if I've gone on too long, but thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, Amy, are you ready?
I am ready. Hello, everybody. Today is my first monthly fellowship meeting. I have been attending CoDA meetings, I guess, for the past 3 months, but I came to this meeting because it was posted in our little chat thing, and I thought that it was just a monthly meeting, so a new exposure for me, which is great. I started in CoDA. I was going to therapy, and I believe that my therapist had said, I had been doing a lot of reading. In my family, we had a trauma that caused me to go inward, and it was saying that I needed to find a group, and I was desperately looking for a group. My husband has an addiction issue, a gambling addiction, and so I thought that I would go for for family members of gamblers, but that wasn't available due to COVID. So my therapist had said maybe I should go to CoDA, and I thought, you're freaking nuts. I'm not codependent, and screw you, is what I thought. And then a friend who's also seeing the same therapist also had recommended that she go to a CoDA meeting. And so she asked me if I would attend with her, and I said, oh yeah, I'm not codependent, but you definitely are. And I will go with you as a support person. We went to go to the meeting in person, and I had said to her, oh, is this even running? And she said, oh, I think it is. I've looked it up. Well, it wasn't. But we came home and we were able to attend the meeting online. And again, I was like, I know I need a group, but what group is right for me? When I then read the characteristics of a codependent, I cried. And I continue at times to be devastated by it and relate wholeheartedly to it. So I've been attending now for 3 months, and it has been beneficial. I am struggling off and on with gratitude because of the trauma that my family has gone through. So yes, 2020, everybody will remember it. I will remember it for different reasons in conjunction with COVID. At times I struggle right now with gratitude, but I would say that I am feeling maybe a little more grateful these past few weeks. And I've actually just completed reading the whole CoDA book just last week. I had to read that cover to cover. Gail, like you, I'm very interested in let me fix me and fix me as fast as possible. And I do recognize that that is a process that is not going to happen anytime fast, but I'm in a slow discovery mode of trying to become more aware of myself, not suppress my own emotions, and just acknowledge them. So, and in terms of technology, being able to attend these meetings has been great. I am not actually a huge technology fan, but I do have to be grateful for the fact that we have this. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Amy. All right, we have come to the end of the time for the shares. So one moment, and I'm going to stop the recording.